Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take another look here at Bitcoin, kind of see what's going on, and obviously analyze and interpret the recent increase here. Now, before we jump in, of course, not a financial advisor. Love teaching people how to trade. This is my full-time job, so I hope that you can learn a thing or two here today. My goal is to teach you how to be a better trader. I have a trading academy and a trading community. If you'd like to consider checking that out, link in the description below. The academy will be available month end, and the community, of course, at any point in time that you decide you want to consider that. So taking a look here at Bitcoin, of course, first and foremost, the elephant in the room here, we have this little descending wedge breakout pattern, right? Now, when I say descending wedge breakout pattern, it's not to say that we have to anticipate that the price is going to shoot straight up from here, but this is a very good starting point. Okay. Now, even though I do still feel Bitcoin has one last trick left up its sleeve, and that, with all the news between now and February, I think 6th, if we're not mistaken, we're going to probably see some kind of, probably a lot of channel trading, right? In other words, the price will probably stay within this channel, is my personal guess, between 40,500 and 44,000. That should probably be the channel that we're going to see. So a lot of people are doing channel trading, of course, just kind of buying the dip and letting it ride up and selling when it gets to the top. And that could very well happen here soon. So until we test 44/44,400, I don't think we're out of the woods yet. And I just think that we should be a little bit cautious because this could be a false positive. Now, again, the likelihood of, that the price turning around at this point, it's 50-50, honestly. It literally could go either way. There's no major catalyst that we can see just based on the data we have that is going to tell us it's going to just turn right around. But there's nothing also that we can see as well that just says it's going to continue to push upwards. We'll look at the smaller time frames to identify, but just generally speaking, kind of just speaking out loud here, thinking out loud, of course, I don't think that this is a sure sign of anything just yet. So try not to get ahead of yourself. That's all I'm saying. Now, we are still under 50 on the RSI. That's kind of the point I'm trying to drive home as well. I think until we pass 44,400, we'll probably still be stuck underneath that resistance level. Okay, so once again, we're not in the clear, but this is a very good sign for Bitcoin on the short term. It's nice to see a turnaround for a change, right? But just bear in mind, the last time we had this type of increase, it got rejected and the price inevitably decreased in value, right? But it is nice to see the altcoins kind of taking off right now and kind of having that nice, I don't know, that nice sentiment overall in the market. It's a good feeling for a change. So let's talk about some good stuff here. The 4-hour chart looks pretty nice, okay? No doubt about it. The midterm looks good. Obviously, we have this strong candle here. A lot of movement, of course, within about 1 to 2 hours. So normally that would concern me, but we do have a decent amount of consolidation so far, and that's a good thing. I hope that it can kind of rest and relax for a little bit and then leg up again. But if we do look at the RSI being up over 50, that's a very good sign. The midterm kind of telling us we broke that tentative resistance level that was created right around 42,300, and of course we're on the good side of the tracks for the moment. Okay, we also had a MACD convergence here, of course, roughly sometime last night about 5 p.m. when the price slowly started to ascend instead of continuing that descending pattern. So all good stuff there in that sense. I really see nothing here on the 4-hour that's adverse. Except for the fact that obviously we're under the 200-day SMA, but that's kind of similar or synonymous, or will be, of course, once we get there, with 44,400 and or 46,000. It's right in that channel, which I think will be a decent resistance zone. Okay, so between 44.4 and 46, we should expect to see some type of resistance. Okay, but we are up over the 50-day SMA, and that's a very, very good sign. So all good stuff there. Take a look here at the 1-hour. Let's go ahead and transition over here. See where we're at with the Ishimoku cloud. Now, we're well in good shape here. Of course, this kind of speaks synonymously with the actual, what was it? We looked at the convergence on the MACD, right? And we saw that the price had shifted from bearish to bullish, and that was roughly last night. Now, roughly around that time, the price was still underneath the cloud, but we see this recent breakthrough above the cloud, roughly sometime around 3 a.m. Pacific. Now, that happened obviously when a lot of us were sleeping, and it was nice to wake up to a green candles. But for lack of better terms, that the actual cloud itself is telling us that we have a buy signal, or actually, correction. Let me rephrase that. Not a buy signal. It's telling us that we have a long position. We want to keep it open. Okay. And what I mean by that too is that obviously the conversion lines over the baseline, the lagging span is free and clear of any price action, and we're well above the cloud for now. Okay, now this hasn't happened in a little while, but just bear in mind the last time it did happen, of course, we had these nice higher highs and higher lows. That was roughly a week ago. The market kind of got back on track for a few days, and then of course we shifted to more bearish sentiment from there. So once again, this could be tentative. This could be something that we see hold on for a little while. We need a little bit more time to identify though. That's just the truth of the matter here. Because if we look at the 1 hour chart, obviously we've got 2 candlesticks that are correcting. And if we take a look over here at Ishimoku, or sorry, the TD sequential rather, we are a bit on the overextended side, right? So yeah, we had this reset at a 9, count up to a 9, even though it's very small, very slow count up, we hit a 9, and we're effectively in overtime now. Now that's not a huge issue on the 1 hour chart in that sense. I do think we'll see a correction based on that matter. And in fact, if we look at the volume weighted average price, we can see we're well outside of that standard deviation line, or at least we were. Okay, so when you rise up that fast and that quick, in fact, why don't we look at the 15 to identify that a little bit better? You can kind of see how high the price went and how fast. So that's traditionally unhealthy. And when you get to that higher point, those you stay outside of those standard deviation lines, then you have a tendency of retracting. The price will come back and collapse. Now, not saying it's going to collapse per se. This is a decent amount of consolidation. The last, hour and a half, 2 hours have been pretty much just straight sideways. And in that regard too, if I'm not mistaken, we're getting a decent amount of volume up here. We're creating a foundational base. So this is a positive sign to see 43,200 as kind of a midway point, so to speak, upwards of 44,400. So we're right at that halfway point, right in between these two major support and resistance levels, and we're really just got to wait it out and see what's going to happen next. Because truth be told, yes, it's overextended, but it is calming down and relaxing a little bit, and that's important. If it continued to push up higher right now, I'd be concerned. But if we get sideways action for another 5 or 10 hours, and we get this one-day candlestick to close, at least over somewhere in the range of 42,300, or more importantly, 43/44,000, closer to that range, we're going to be in really, really good shape. Okay, so be on the lookout for when the one-day candlestick closes. Because once again, this is a little too premature to identify how official this is, right? Because there was, basically about an hour or 2 worth of time that caused this increase. So this increase is all 1 to 2 hours worth of momentum, and that's right as soon as the market had opened too. And you got to understand, the market opened. This traditional stock market is looking good today. There's a handful of reasons why this is factoring in. Just bear in mind, we have a red day in the traditional stock market, or we get closer to the actual time in which the U.S. stock market closes. That's when you see the profits getting taken for the most part. Because Bitcoin's literally repeated this behavior for the last 3 or 4 days in a row, where the price action opens up really strong, closes off, really strong, closes off, and it's just a rinse and repeat action. Thankfully, there's a lot more volume today than there was previously, and that's a very good sign. Because of the simple fact that when you see a lot more volume or a lot more push to the upside, where there's less bearish divergence and less resistance, so to speak, when the price just is allowed to continue to increase like this, then that's a good sign in the short term, because it really helps us understand that there is a potential shift in momentum. Now, this shift in momentum, again, is never a guarantee. We've got to understand that. So try to be cautious in the ways in which you're adding to your altcoins, because I know some of them are up 5, 10, 15%, right? And you got to understand too that, let's just go with a lowest point here from yesterday to a current price right now. It's roughly 5%. So a 5% increase in one trading day is a lot of volume. It's a lot of price action for Bitcoin. Okay, but if we think about it, 5% for Bitcoin, and if you look at these other altcoins, on average, they're up 5, 10, 15%, then you got to kind of understand that will work to the downside as well. So if Bitcoin hits a limit here and starts trailing off and retraces, which it has done plenty of times in the past, we need to understand and be ready for the fact that your altcoins could suffer a little more dramatically than they should. Okay, but good news is, and keep this in mind too, the altcoins are responding very well to this. Okay, so I would venture to guess, as the fear, uncertainty, and doubt starts to dissipate, we're going to see more stability in Bitcoin, or corrections, more stability in altcoins. And Bitcoin, regardless of how well it's doing or not, we'll see a lot more altcoins, I think, taking off. And I think we should be on the lookout for Ethereum as well. That's the most initial one that usually identifies alt season. And we could very well be right on the verge there if Ethereum is responding very well. Again, a little too early to tell, but I just want to kind of bring that to your attention and help you understand that this is a very good, exciting time. We've seen it before in the past though, and it's resulted in a pretty significant correction. Okay, so again, One day candlestick up over 44,400. That's when we can tentatively celebrate. Once we're up over 46,000, then we can absolutely go bonkers and ensure that we are, balls to the wall, hitting everything. And you'll see a lot more swing trade signals and more so, day trade signals for myself as well. So to my community, thank you so much for your patience, of course. We get a little bit more confirmation, then we'll go ahead and close our short position with Bitcoin. We'll go and start opening long positions with other altcoins and make sure that we are all on the right track there. I just want to make sure that we don't have something like this happen again, where the price comes way down, way fast, and we get that big correction. And this does feel kind of like a bit of a trap to me personally. But once again, it's all speculation at this point. There's really not much else we can disseminate with the information we have, because it's kind of tentative for the moment. We've got one strong 4-hour candlestick, and until we see more consolidation followed by another increase, this is not quite official. Okay. So I hope you can take that away from here today. We're not out of the woods yet, but we are effectively looking very good on the short term and the midterm, right? So that transition is possible, and the likelihood is higher than not that the price is planning to increase and continue to increase, just based on those alone. But we need further confirmation before we have the official say, because if the price comes up to 44,000 or 44.4 and gets rejected again, we're going to be right back in the same shape we were a week ago. All right, so just be prepared for that. That's all I ask. Just proceed with caution and make sure that you are, cautiously optimistic, but be very, very careful is all I can say. All right, hope you found benefit here. Of course, I'll start rolling out with more dollar cost average videos. As I mentioned, I put that one out yesterday for my gaming coins. We'll probably do DeFi later today, as well as top 100 and a few others that I think are important for you to identify. Again, just in case Bitcoin were to sell off. There's no guarantees. We don't know where it's going to go, but if it were to continue to go down, which we're still not quite there yet, if it were to go down, we need to understand and have things in place and ready to go there. Okay, so that's what the purpose of those are for. So check that out, of course, in your own time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me here. We'll see you in the next one.